There's one muscle group that separates the elite physiques you can't ignore from the average Joes, and that's a set of capped 3D delts. Not only do they create a broader and more masculine appearance, but they also give the illusion of a smaller waistline, creating a more prominent V-taper. In today's video, we're going to be covering the best science-based shoulder workout using only dumbbells. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete workout hitting every part of the delts to add aesthetic mass to your shoulders. Like we covered in the dumbbells only chest and triceps workout, you don't need every piece of equipment to build an impressive physique. Just as long as you're providing enough tension to the target muscle, a set of dumbbells and an adjustable bench are all you'll need. Now, before we jump into the actual workout, let's quickly go over the anatomy and biomechanics of the deltoids. The deltoids are made up of three heads: the anterior deltoid or front delt, the lateral deltoid or mid delt, and the posterior deltoid or rear delt. The main function of the anterior deltoid is shoulder flexion or raising your arm up in front of your body. The front delt is also responsible for internal rotation of the humerus or rotating the shoulder inward. Now that you understand the role of the front delt, it's not hard to see why this video will include very minimal anterior delt isolation work. Because they're heavily involved in all of your pushing movements, too much additional volume would just be overkill. The posterior deltoid is responsible for transverse shoulder abduction or moving your arms out to the side, as well as external rotation of the shoulder and shoulder hyperextension. Like the front delts, most of the heavy compound lifts you're performing, particularly pulling movements, will stimulate the rear delts. That said, research shows that isolation exercises are superior for activating the rear delts. The main function of the lateral deltoid is shoulder abduction or raising your arm out to the side. And unlike the front and rear delts, most of the compound lifts you're already doing will not target the mid delts to a significant degree. Now that you understand what muscles you're targeting and what movement they're involved in, it's time to go over the best dumbbell-only shoulder workout for mass. Exercise number 1. Standing one-arm dumbbell overhead press. 4 sets, 8 reps. A 2013 study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research compared 4 different types of overhead pressing: standing barbell overhead press, standing dumbbell overhead press, seated barbell overhead press, and seated dumbbell overhead press. The result of the study showed that the standing dumbbell variation led to the greatest muscle activation in all 3 heads. Now, there's one way to make this exercise slightly more effective, and that's by performing it unilaterally or with one arm at a time. Some benefits here are that you can easily place the elbows further in front of the body in line with the scapular plane for a safer, more effective press. Second, because you'll need more shoulder stabilization, using one arm increases mid-delt activation. Third, most people have slight muscle imbalances because they tend to push more with one side. Including some unilateral work is a great way to make sure one side doesn't overpower the other. And lastly, because the weight will be over one side of the body, this will require more core strength to remain upright. So yes, while the standard dumbbell shoulder press, either standing or seated, would be a totally viable option, this variation will provide the greatest bang for your buck. Exercise number 2. Dumbbell hang clean and press. 4 sets, 10 reps. The first part of the dumbbell hang clean and press is similar to an upright row, and because this movement involves a great deal of shoulder abduction, it's a great way to stimulate the mid delts. Since we want to make sure the weight is heavy enough to actually stimulate the shoulders, it's okay to generate a bit of power using your lower body to get the weight up in the beginning of the exercise. The second part begins when you flip the dumbbells onto your shoulders. In Olympic lifting, lifting, you'd actually use a little bit of momentum and power to press the weight overhead. But because we're focused on muscle tension, I suggest keeping the heaving to a minimum, at least for this second portion of the exercise. As for the weight, I suggest using a heavier load to take advantage of muscle fiber types. According to research, using heavier weight stimulates more fast twitch fibers, while lighter loads better target slow twitch fibers. And because we know that the anterior and lateral deltoids are made up of mostly fast twitch fibers, using heavier loads can provide a unique stimulus since we're already hitting both muscles with higher reps. Exercise number 3, prone dumbbell face pulls. 4 sets, 15 reps. No 3D delt is complete without well-developed rear deltoids. Not only do underdeveloped rear delts take away from the capped 3D appearance, this muscle imbalance can lead to shoulder pain, poor posture, or serious injury. For this reason, we're including prone dumbbell face pulls. Face pulls work the muscles most important for improving posture and preventing shoulder injuries. They not only target the rear delts and traps, but they also strengthen the rotator cuff muscles, essentially bulletproofing your shoulder joints. Normally, these would be done with a rope at a cable column. In this case, however, we'll mimic the exercise by supporting our body on an incline bench and performing the same movement pattern with dumbbells. Remember, the purpose of this exercise is to load the function of external rotation. With that said, make sure to twist your arms out for max activation and hold it for a split second at the top. And of course, you have to be sure to keep the intensity up. When training the rear delts in general, going any lower than 8 to 10 reps isn't a good idea, with the exception of heavy compound pulling movements. Personally, I find that 10 to 15 reps is usually a sweet spot for rear delt isolation exercises. Exercise number 4, chest supported lateral raise. 3 sets, 12 reps. Although you may already be including some type of dumbbell lateral raise in your training, there are a few adjustments that can be made to ensure we're further emphasizing the mid delts. Let's look at the traditional dumbbell lateral raise, for example. The further in front of the body the dumbbell, the more involvement we get from the front delt. That said, even when we're raising the dumbbell directly at our sides, the front delt is still bearing a good deal of the load. This is why most experts recommend internally rotating the shoulder during this exercise, as it'll further reduce involvement of the front delt. This, however, will put your shoulder in a vulnerable position, increasing risk of impingement, especially as you progressively add more weight. An easy way to combat this is to externally rotate the shoulder and lean slightly forward. Not only will this put your shoulder in a safer position, but it'll also shift most of the load to the mid delts. And if you want to minimize the chance of cheating and further isolate the mid delts, I recommend a chest supported version where you're using an incline bench for support. So there you have it. A science-based dumbbell-only shoulder workout. And one final note, if you have access to a variety of dumbbells, I recommend sticking with a weight that is challenging enough for the target rep range. If, however, you're limited to lighter dumbbells, ignore the rep targets and train to or close to failure if you want to experience the same stimulus. Did you find this video helpful? If so, click the like button below, as it'll truly help out the channel. Also, if you're looking to take your workouts to the next level, grab a bottle of my science-based pre-workout supplement, Turbocharged. Packed with scientifically proven ingredients, all clinically dosed, you'll experience all the performance benefits without the jitters or crash. If you want to learn more, head over to musclemonsters.com/supplements or click the link in the description. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more videos and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. Peace.